A study of 200 companies found the single biggest factor for success wasn't the idea, the team, or the funding. It was timing, accounting for 42% of the outcome. Today we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden clock that runs every system you're trying to change. Chapter 1, The Law of 42%. Let's start with a simple, brutal fact. In the world of startups, we have a romantic attachment to the genius founder, the brilliant idea, the all-star team. But the data tells a different story. When venture capitalist Bill Gross analyzed hundreds of companies, he quantified 5 factors: idea, team, business model, funding, and timing. The result was unambiguous. Timing was the #1 predictor, responsible for 42% of the difference between wild success and total failure. Think about that for a second. Nearly half of the outcome was determined not by the quality of the parts, but by when they were assembled. This creates what we can call the talent trap. A supremely talented team with a genuinely great idea can fail completely because they were too early. The infrastructure, the consumer mindset, the regulatory environment wasn't there yet. Or they can fail because they were too late, entering a market that's already saturated. The classic examples are now legend. Airbnb and Uber didn't just have a good idea for sharing assets. They launched into the teeth of the 2008 financial crisis. The timing was perfect. A massive pool of people were suddenly desperate for extra income. The talent was necessary, but the crisis was the catalyst. Similarly, YouTube wasn't the first online video site. It launched right when broadband internet hit a critical mass in homes. The talent of the previous video pioneers was irrelevant. The system's clock, the infrastructure clock, hadn't ticked over to the right time yet. So the first layer of the hidden clock is external, market readiness. But what if the clock is built into the system itself, shaping who we even perceive as talented in the first place? That's where the story gets even more interesting. Chapter 2, The Systemic Clock. We often think of talent as an innate, personal attribute. But systems have a way of manufacturing talent based on arbitrary starting lines. The most famous example comes from the world of sports, specifically Canadian junior hockey. In the elite leagues, a wildly disproportionate number of players are born in the first few months of the year, January, February, March. Why? The eligibility cutoff for age-class hockey is January 1st. A boy born on January 2nd is placed in the same league as a boy born on December 30th of the same year. But at the age of 6 or 7, that's nearly a 12-month difference in physical development. The January kid is bigger, stronger, and more coordinated. He stands out. Coaches looking for the most talented players see this. They give the older kid more ice time, better coaching, and more encouragement. This compounds year after year. By the time they're 18, what began as a simple accident of birth timing looks like objectively superior talent and skill. The system's clock, the arbitrary January 1st cutoff, acted as a filter. This isn't about hockey. It's a blueprint. Every institution has its own January 1st. It could be a fiscal year, a promotion cycle, or a grant application deadline. These dates create systemic bias. They determine who gets the first look and the extra resources. The talent that rises to the top is often just the output of a system that rewarded being in the right place at a very specific time. But this clock doesn't just filter people, it also dictates when the system itself is open for business. Chapter 3, The Institutional Rhythm. Every organization, from a corporation to a government agency, has an internal rhythm, a tempo of change. This is the hidden clock of institutional receptivity. For most of its life, a large institution is in a state of homeostasis. Its primary goal is stability and self-preservation. During these long periods, the institution has a powerful immune system designed to reject foreign ideas, no matter how talented the proposer, propose a radical change during a time of record profits. The system's protection reflex will kill it. The incentives for middle managers are to avoid risk. The talent of the reformer is irrelevant because the institution's clock is set to maintain. There's typically only one setting that overrides this: crisis. A crisis, a financial crash, a massive scandal resets the institutional clock. Suddenly, the priority shifts from preservation to survival. The rules are suspended, budgets are unlocked, the immune system is temporarily disabled. This is the famous window of opportunity. The talented reformer who was ignored for years now finds everyone listening, not because they are suddenly more persuasive, but because the crisis changed the institution's timing. It made the system receptive. So we have 3 clocks: the external market clock, the internal filtering clock, and the institutional rhythm clock. They are often invisible, but they are more powerful than any individual skill. This leads to the obvious, frustrating question. If timing is so dominant, what can you actually control? Chapter 4, Reading the Clock. If talent is the engine, but timing is the road, then strategy is about reading the map and watching the weather. You can't control the clock, but you can learn to tell time. This isn't about passive waiting, it's about active reconnaissance. First, you must audit the clocks in your system. What is the external readiness clock? For a product, this means asking, is the technology infrastructure truly in place? Is the cultural willingness there? Look for the converging trends. Second, identify the systemic filter clocks. What are the arbitrary cutoffs or review cycles in your industry? Are you on the favored side of that line? If not, you need a strategy to compensate. Most critically, you must diagnose the institutional rhythm. Is the organization in a state of crisis or stability? Pushing a transformative idea during stability is usually a waste of capital. The strategic move might be to build the prototype quietly and wait. Your job is to have the solution ready for the moment the crisis hits and the rhythm changes. The takeaway isn't to downplay talent. You need a capable engine, but the 42% rule forces a humility. It argues that the majority of your effort should be spent on understanding the temporal landscape. The greatest talent in the world, applied at the wrong time, is just noise. Applied at the right moment, it becomes a catalyst. Chapter 5, The Unresolved Exposure. This leaves us with a central tension. If success is so heavily dependent on timing, on factors largely outside an individual's control, what does that mean for how we judge success and failure? We built a culture that venerates the talent of the winner and often scorns the poor judgment of the loser. But the 42% rule suggests that in a huge number of cases, we're just rewarding luck and punishing those who happen to be born in December, or who had a great idea in 2003 instead of 2008. The system's hidden clock creates the illusion of meritocracy. It allows us to point to the outcomes and say, see, talent wins, while ignoring the temporal scaffolding that made it possible. The exposure is in our own perception. We risk wasting incredible potential by misdiagnosing bad timing for a lack of skill. The question isn't just whether you have talent, it's whether you understand what time it is in the system you're trying to change. If you find these breakdowns of how systems actually work useful, follow and subscribe to the channel for more.